Happy Saturday to you. Hope your week's been good. Really looking forward to our time together tomorrow. A time of worship and praise, time of remembrance, time of reflection and encouragement. That's a lot of good right there. By God's design, He knew we needed this. Often the question becomes, excuse me, often the question becomes, do we realize how much we need it? So I hope you're making plans right now to carve out just a couple of hours from your week to worship and praise the one that you love the most, the one that loves you the most, to encourage the ones that you hope to spend eternity with. You're missed when you're not here. In my portion of the service tomorrow, I want to present a lesson from Nehemiah chapter 9 that's going to emphasize just how deserving, undeserving we are of God's grace. An honest acknowledgement of who we are and who we've been, really, but who God is. And we can see it so clearly in the lives of the people of Israel. But what I hope to show you, we're no different. So it's a lesson in grace. I've titled it The Undeserving. God's grace to the undeserving. And my goal with this message is really simple. It's to help light a fire as we come to an acknowledgement of just how undeserving we are of God's grace on our behalf. In the class portion of our time together, we're going to continue talking about Jesus. In these introductory lessons, looking big picture at who Jesus is. And once we come to an acknowledgement of who Jesus is, recognizing what that demands. And this is really going to set up the whole study. The key verse that we're working around in these introductory lessons is Colossians 1 at verse 18, where Paul says, He's also the head of the body, the church, the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, so that He Himself will come to have first place in everything. First place in everything. Is that the place that Jesus has in your life at this very moment? That's what He deserves. That's the appropriate response to who He is, what He's done, what He will do. But why? That's what we're talking about. So for class, I want you to read Colossians chapter 1, verses 13 through 22. And let's talk about Jesus. Let's be reminded of who Jesus is and what that demands. No more half-hearted, fence-sitting, one foot in the world when it comes to Jesus. He deserves more than that. So let's talk about why. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Invite, invite, invite. Remember, they might say yes. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.